Tariffs, inflation, and interest rates. Those have been the topics of all the major headlines for the first half of the year. Things have started to settle down, but what does that mean for the second half of 2025? What does that mean for your home value if you're thinking about selling a home, or if you're buying a home? When will we hit bottom? My name is Rachel Sartain Timpany. I'm the broker owner of the Timpany Collection, and I've been selling real estate in the Tampa Bay for 22 years. Not only do I study this stuff myself, but I also teach a lot of real estate professionals on how to analyze the data so they can help customers make the right decisions. I'm providing this information to you so you can make the best decision when it comes to selling your home or buying a home. To determine what will happen in the second half of 2025 in the Tampa Bay housing market, we first have to figure out where we are. Nationally, the average home sales prices are up only 0.7%. Last year, it was up 4.4%. So that is a significantly less increase in the average home sales price. The housing market across the country is cooling, and Florida, once known for its booming housing market, is one of the states leading this new correction mode. Southwest Florida areas like Punta Gorda, Naples, and Sarasota are leading this downturn. As we've pointed out numerous times, the Florida housing market actually follows the same seasonal pattern as the national housing market, with May through August dominating the sales. Yes, Floridians, we sell more homes in the hot, humid summer months than any other time of the year. And if you don't believe me, just comment below with the location of your neighborhood and I'll do the research for you. Not only do the summer months bring an increase in the number of transactions we have, it also brings an increase in the average sales price. In Tampa in June, home values were 10% more than they were in the beginning of the year. However, across the bay in the St. Pete Clearwater area, things are different. The average home price increased only 1.5% during the same time period that Tampa saw a 10% increase. And the sales price isn't the only big difference we're seeing across the bay. If you've been watching the news, you've probably heard that the Tampa metropolitan area, the sales prices are down. And Zillow just put out a report that Tampa prices are down 5% year over year. But it's headlines like this that we need to put into perspective. Interestingly enough, Tampa prices are holding pretty steady. However, their neighbors across the bridge in St. Pete Clearwater, they're dragging down the average sales price. But don't get me wrong, the average sales price is down in Tampa, but it's only down 2.4%. Across the bridge in Pinellas County, the average sales price is down 12.25% year over year. What does that mean? Well, the average home price sold last summer was about $670,000. This year, it's dropped down to $595,000. Typically in the summer months, we see an increase in inventory, an increase in transactions, which equates to an increase in sales price. We're seeing that in Tampa. As we've mentioned, the average price in Tampa has increased 10%. Inventory has increased 15%, and the number of transactions has increased 78% since the beginning of the year. But things are different in the St. Pete Clearwater area, and we're not seeing the same normal summer activity. Home prices are up only 1.5%, and inventory is still on the rise with an increase of 17%, but it's not translating to what we normally see with an increase in transaction count. The 31% increase in the number of transactions in St. Pete Clearwater fails in comparison to the 78% increase that Tampa has experienced. So what's happening? Why are so many more homes being sold in Tampa versus the St. Pete Clearwater area? Is it still due to the storm that impacted our sales? Or is the area finally falling off of its high horse? It's a bit of a mixed bag. Yes, the storms took its toll on properties and property values. Prior to Hurricane Helene, a waterfront property on one of the barrier islands might have cost you about $1.3 million. After the storm, its value hit sand bottom, or otherwise land value, and sold for about $800,000. Even though this was 9 months ago, the impacts are still ongoing. The permitting process is still a major point of contention. It's been 9 months and many homeowners still do not have city approval to fix their homes. The lack of permitting is doing more damage than just keeping homeowners from rebuilding. The slow permitting process has left homes abandoned and disheveled, and their yards are overgrown, while many businesses still remain closed, causing our beach communities to lose its vibrant appeal. I spoke with a realtor a few weeks ago who was showing a buyer from California a few waterfront properties in St. Pete Beach. The buyer ultimately decided not to purchase in the area. His words? He said it was slummy. These post-storm impacts are definitely driving down the average sales price, but there is more to the equation. In Pinellas County in 2019, the average sales price was the exact same as the national average sales price, $361,000. After all the pandemic pandemonium, the average price in Pinellas County is now 35% more than the national average. This leads to an affordability issue. If people can't afford to buy a home, they won't, and we're seeing this happen. Home sales have remained very low. Not only can buyers not afford to buy, they don't want to. And why would they when every major headline is telling us the market is crashing? If interest rates and home prices are putting home ownership out of reach for so many people, who is left to purchase all of the homes that are for sale? Pair this with all the sellers who are holding strong to their 2022 idea of value, and we have exactly what I mentioned last month. It's a tug of war. But let's put all of this into perspective. There were 930 homes sold last month in Pinellas County. Obviously, there are still people who need to buy a home and there are still people who need to sell a home. It's about finding the balance. Knowing all of this, what can we expect in the second half of 2025? I predict more of the same. Knowing that May through August has more transactions than any other time of the year, expect September, October, and November to be on the decline. However, December usually picks up as many homeowners want to be in their home by the end of the year to file for homestead exemption and for tax purposes. Prices also typically decline during this time of the year, but don't expect a drastic reduction. Again, expect more of the same, a slight, slow, steady decrease. And what about interest rates? I do expect the Fed to lower interest rates just one time, but I don't think it's going to be anything significant. Maybe 0.25%, but that's not enough to move buyers off the fence and come rushing back into the housing market. Knowing all of this, what does it mean for your property value? In most cases, if you purchased your home in 2023 or 2024, you're probably going to be selling it at a loss. And I'm sorry, but that's just the ugly truth. If you bought your home in 2022 and you need to sell it, you're probably going to be selling it for the exact same price that you purchased it for. However, if you bought your home in 2021, you might have a little bit of appreciation. Nationally, the average time for somebody to own a home is 12 years. So if you bought your home 10 or 12 years ago and you're needing to sell it now, you're in a great position. But caution, don't base your list price off of the price that you thought you could have gotten a couple years ago. Those days are gone. Knowing that housing is essential and we all need a roof over our heads no matter the market conditions, when is the best time to buy? And when will prices hit bottom? On all the message boards I read, I always see comments from buyers who say, we're waiting for home prices to come down. For all of those waiting for home prices to come down, they have. As I stated earlier, in Pinellas County, the average sales price has decreased 12%. Now the question is, how low will they go? It makes me think of the game Limbo. How low can you go? How low can you go before you fall on your back, lose the game, or in other words, miss the opportunity before the bar resets at a higher position? Very few, if any, win at the game of timing the market. Housing is the long game, and if you're planning to be in your home the next 10 to 12 years, buy now. Negotiate the price based off of what we've been talking about today. You want to make sure your price is based off of today's market value, not 2023's. And you have to be able to find a seller who's motivated. Unfortunately, though, there's still a lot of sellers out there still hoping to get what they might have gotten a few years ago. If you're buying, find the seller who is motivated and realistic. Nationally, there's this thing called a delisting surge, according to Realtor.com. These are sellers who are removing their homes from the market and they would rather wait than negotiate. This is a sign of two things, in my opinion. The first thing is it's a sign of optimism from sellers who think that prices are going to rebound in the next few short months. However, sellers are always overly optimistic about their property values. The second thing it tells me is that they didn't really need to sell their home, which means they weren't really motivated in the first place. In Florida, especially in the Tampa Bay area, sellers have another reason to wait. They're waiting out the hurricane season, hoping that a calm season will help prices rebound. This type of reasoning is about as predictable as my magic 8 ball. So let's ask it the question. Will Tampa Bay have a catastrophic hurricane season? Let's see. It says, better not tell you now. The truth is, we don't know. We don't know what this year's hurricane season will bring. We don't know if Hurricane Helene was a once in a 100-year event or if it's a new annual expectation. And because of this uncertainty, many people remain scared, sitting on the fence, waiting to see what will happen. Because we can't predict what may or may not happen in the future, one thing we do know is Tampa Bay is a great place to live. We also know that people need a roof over their head, which usually equates to a home. No matter the market conditions, there's always a buyer who wants to buy the right home at the right price, and there's always a seller who wants to sell. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe so you can get an alert when we release the most updated market information. If you have questions about the information that we shared today, please ask those in the comments below. We would love to answer any of your questions about the Tampa Bay housing market. And the biggest compliment you can give us is to please share this video with your family and friends. Thanks so much for watching, and we're looking forward to seeing you next month.